I was working the front desk at a hostel in Amsterdam when an American family walked in at 11:30 at night. The dad was wearing flip-flops and a college hoodie. His wife had rollerblades tied to her backpack. Their teenage son was eating a full rotisserie chicken he'd apparently just bought somewhere. The dad looked at me and said, "Hey man, we don't have a reservation, but we're independent travelers, so we just go with the flow. You got rooms?" I told him we were fully booked. He stared at me like I'd just told him gravity stopped working. "But we're here now," he said. "We're spontaneous. That's what travel is about." I explained that Amsterdam in August without a reservation meant sleeping on a park bench. He got annoyed. "In America, we don't plan everything like robots. We're free spirits." His wife nodded like this was some profound philosophy. Meanwhile, their son dropped chicken grease on our floor. They eventually left to try another hostel. I later found out they spent €200 on a last-minute room the size of a closet. Independence is expensive. Another time, I was a tour guide in Prague. An American couple joined our walking tour 15 minutes late. They didn't apologize. They just walked up and interrupted me mid-sentence to ask where the bathroom was. I pointed them to a cafe. They came back 10 minutes later, angry. "Why do we have to pay to use the bathroom?" The husband asked. "That's a scam. In America, bathrooms are free. That's what freedom means." I tried to explain that public toilet maintenance costs money in Europe. He cut me off. No. You guys just accept this because you don't know better. We're independent thinkers. We question things." Then he tried to pee behind a statue. A police officer had to tell him to stop. His wife defended him, saying he was exercising his personal liberty. The officer was not impressed. My roommate worked at a restaurant in Barcelona. She told me about an American who refused to order from the menu. He wanted a cheeseburger with extra pickles and a vanilla milkshake. She explained they didn't serve that. He said, "Look, I'm an American. I don't follow rules just because someone says so. I make my own choices. Can't you just make what I want?" She told him this wasn't Burger King. He left a 1-star review saying the restaurant lacked flexibility and freedom. I saw another American in a grocery store in Berlin trying to return opened food. The cashier said no. He argued for 10 minutes. I tasted it and didn't like it. In America, the customer decides. I am independent. I don't let stores tell me what I can and can't do. Security eventually walked him out. He was holding a half-eaten pretzel and shouting about his rights. These stories all have one thing in common. Americans doing whatever they want and calling it independence. But independence and chaos aren't the same thing. And the rest of the world is just watching, completely confused. I worked at a train station in Brussels for 3 years. I've seen a lot of confused tourists, but Americans take it to another level. One morning, a woman in her 40s came running up to the ticket desk. She was out of breath. "I need a ticket to Paris right now," she said. I asked what time her train was. She looked confused. "I don't have a train. I just decided I want to go to Paris today. I'm traveling independently." I explained that tickets sell out, especially for high-speed trains. She got frustrated. "Why do I need to book ahead? That's so controlling. In America, we just show up and go. We don't let schedules run our lives." I showed her the next available train was in 6 hours and cost 3 times the normal price. She bought it, complaining the whole time about European inflexibility. Another guy came in with a massive backpack and no plan. He asked me, "What's a cool place I can go to right now?" I said that depended on his budget and interests. He interrupted. No, I don't plan. Planning kills the adventure. I'm independent. Just tell me somewhere random." I suggested Bruges. He bought a ticket. 2 hours later, he came back upset. "There's nothing to do there. It's just old buildings and canals. Why didn't you warn me?" I had no words. My coworker told me about an American couple who missed their train because they were taking selfies on the platform. They tried to board the next train without tickets. The conductor stopped them. The husband said, "We're Americans. We don't believe in all these ticket rules. It's just a train. We're independent travelers. We go where we want." The conductor kicked them off at the next station. They had to pay a fine and buy new tickets. Their independence cost them €200 and 4 hours. I also met an American who booked a hostel in Vienna but showed up in Venice. He didn't realize they were different cities. When he figured it out, he blamed the internet. The names are similar. It's a setup. In America, city names are clear. We value independence, so we make things easy to understand. He ended up sleeping in the Venice train station because everything was booked. His independence turned into a bench and a neck cramp. One summer, an American family arrived in Brussels with no hotel reservation. The dad said they were winging it because that's what real travelers do. I told him August was peak season. He laughed. We're not like other tourists. We're independent. We don't follow the crowd. 3 hours later, they were back at the station, exhausted. Every hotel was full. They ended up booking a place 30 kilometers outside the city. Their kids were crying. The mom looked miserable. The dad still insisted they were living freely. A woman once asked me how to get to that tower in France. I asked if she meant the Eiffel Tower. She said yes. I explained she was in Belgium and needed to take a train to Paris. She was shocked. I thought Brussels was in France. Geography is so complicated in Europe. In America, everything is labeled clearly. We're independent, so we don't make things confusing. She missed her connection because she spent 20 minutes arguing about geography. Another traveler showed up with a printed map from 2003. He asked me why the train routes didn't match. I explained the system had changed. He said, "This is why I don't trust updates. I'm independent. I use what I know works." His map sent him to a station that didn't exist anymore. He got lost for 3 hours and blamed European chaos. I once helped an American who booked a flight out of Brussels but thought the airport was next to the train station. It wasn't. It was 12 kilometers away. He had 30 minutes to get there. I told him to take a taxi. He refused. Taxis are a scam. I'm independent. I'll figure it out myself. He missed his flight. Independence cost him a rebooking fee and a night in the airport. The funniest one was a guy who showed up at the station in pajama pants and slippers. He said he was embracing independent travel by not caring about appearances. He wanted to go to Amsterdam. I sold him a ticket. He came back an hour later. "Why is everyone staring at me?" I told him it was because he looked like he just rolled out of bed. He said, "In America, we dress how we want. That's independence." I didn't have the heart to tell him that independence doesn't mean people won't judge you. My friend worked at a museum in Florence. She told me Americans constantly break rules and defend it as independence. One afternoon, a man tried to touch a 500-year-old sculpture. She stopped him. He said, "I just want to feel it. I'm an independent person. I don't let signs tell me what to do." She explained the oils from Hans Damage art. He argued, "That's what they want you to think. I'm a free thinker." Security escorted him out. Another time, a woman brought a full coffee into the gallery. My friend told her drinks weren't allowed. The woman said, "I need my coffee. I'm not going to let rules control me. That's what independence is." She spilled it on a Renaissance floor. The museum had to close that section for cleaning. She didn't apologize. She said it was an accident caused by overly strict policies. I worked at a library in Copenhagen. An American came in talking loudly on his phone. I asked him to keep it down. He said, "I'm having an important conversation. I'm independent. I don't silence myself for others." Other people glared at him. He didn't care. He talked for 20 minutes about his fantasy football league. When he finally left, someone clapped. Another American brought fast food into the library. The smell filled the room. I told him food wasn't allowed. He said, "I'm hungry. I'm not going to starve just because of some rule. In America, we eat when we want. That's independence." He ate a full burger and fries at a study table. He left the trash there. When I asked him to throw it away, he said, "That's what staff is for." A woman once let her kid run around the library screaming. I asked her to keep him quiet. She said, He's expressing himself. I'm raising him to be independent. I don't suppress his freedom. The kid knocked over a book display. She didn't help clean it up. She said, "He's just being a kid. You Europeans are too serious." I saw an American in Rome try to climb a fountain to take a photo. A police officer told him to stop. He said, "I'm just getting a good angle. I'm independent. I don't let authority figures limit my creativity." The officer threatened to fine him. He climbed down, grumbling about European control issues. My cousin worked at a hotel in Vienna. An American guest smoked in a non-smoking room. When confronted, he said, "I paid for the room. I decide what happens in it." That's independence. The hotel charged him a cleaning fee. He left a furious review calling them freedom haters. Another guest played loud music at 2 in the morning. Other guests complained. When staff knocked on his door, he said, "I'm on vacation. I'm independent. I don't follow quiet hours." They had to threaten eviction. He turned it down, but told everyone at breakfast that the hotel was oppressive. A woman in Barcelona tried to take her dog into a restaurant. The staff said no. She argued, "My dog is well behaved. I'm independent. I don't leave family outside." The staff explained health codes. She said, "That's what's wrong with Europe. Too many rules. America values independence." She ate outside with her dog and complained about the temperature the whole time. I once saw an American park his rental car in a bus lane in Dublin. A traffic officer gave him a ticket. He said, "I didn't see a spot. I'm independent. I make quick decisions." The officer didn't care. He argued for 10 minutes about how real independence means trusting your gut. He still had to pay the fine. Another traveler tried to board a plane with a full suitcase of liquids. Security stopped him. He said, "These are my toiletries. I'm independent. I don't buy travel sizes." They made him throw everything out. He was furious. In America, we don't have these stupid limits. We trust people. He missed his flight because he spent 30 minutes arguing. A guy in Stockholm walked into a store barefoot. The staff asked him to leave. He said, "I'm comfortable like this. I'm independent. I don't let society dictate my footwear." They told him it was a health violation. He left, posting online about Scandinavian conformity. A woman in Athens tried to haggle at a fixed-price grocery store. The cashier said no. She insisted. In America, we negotiate. I'm independent. I don't just accept prices. The cashier called the manager. She finally paid full price, but loudly complained that Europe doesn't understand free market independence. I was at a cafe in Paris when I overheard a conversation. A French waiter was talking to a co-worker. "Americans think independence means ignoring everyone else," he said. "They call it freedom. We call it being difficult." The co-worker laughed. Yesterday, one argued with me for 10 minutes because we don't have ranch dressing. He said France lacks independence in condiment choices. My friend who works in Germany told me a story. An American tourist asked why Germans follow crosswalk signals even when no cars are coming. My friend explained it's about respect and safety. The American said, "That's why America is better. We're independent. We cross when we want." He then jaywalked and nearly got hit by a bike. The cyclist yelled at him. He yelled back about his right to independence. A Japanese exchange student told me about hosting an American family. They showed up 2 hours late to dinner without calling. When she asked what happened, the dad said, "We don't watch the clock. We're independent. Time is a social construct. She had to reheat everything." They didn't thank her. They said she should be more flexible and embrace spontaneity. An Australian bartender in London shared his experience. An American ordered a drink and didn't tip. When the bartender looked disappointed, the American said, "Tipping is optional. I'm independent. I decide when service is good enough." The bartender explained UK wages are different from the US. The American said, "That's not my problem. I'm exercising my independence." He came back the next night. The service was noticeably slower. I met a Brazilian who worked at a hostel in Lisbon. She said Americans constantly showed up without reading the house rules. One plugged in 5 devices at once and blew a fuse. When she explained the power limits, he said, "I need all my electronics. I'm independent. I don't unplug things just because of suggestions." The entire floor lost power for an hour. He didn't apologize. He said it was a design flaw in European electricity. A Canadian told me about Americans visiting Toronto. One loudly announced at a restaurant, "It's so nice to be in a place that's basically America but with health care." The Canadian corrected him, "We're not America. We're independent from America." The American laughed. "Sure, but you're like our little sibling. You follow our lead." The Canadian walked away. Later, he told his co-workers, "They think independence means the world revolves around them." My Irish friend works at a tourist information center. An American asked her, "Why does Ireland drive on the wrong side of the road?" She said, "We drive on the left. It's not wrong." He said, "But in America, we drive on the right. We're the independent ones. You should switch." She asked if he thought the rest of the world should change because of America. He said yes. She handed him a map and walked away. A Greek waiter told me Americans often ask, "Why don't you speak English better?" He's Greek, in Greece. He explains he does speak English, but it's his second language. They respond, "Well, English is the language of independence and business. You should practice more." He started replying in only Greek when this happens. An Italian train conductor said, "Americans frequently argue about tickets. They say they're independent travelers and shouldn't have to validate tickets. I explain it's the system. They say the system is flawed and they're choosing to ignore it. Then they get fined and call me a scam artist." A Spanish hotel worker shared a story. An American complained the room was too small. She explained it was a European standard size. He said, "In America we have space. That's what independence looks like. Big rooms, big cars, big portions." She told him he booked a budget hotel. He said, "I'm independent. I don't overpay, but I still expect American standards." She upgraded him for an extra fee. He complained about that too. A Swedish cashier said an American once argued about paying for grocery bags. He said in America, bags are free because they're independent and don't nickel and dime customers. I told him it's about the environment. He said environmentalism is just control. He wanted independence from eco-rules. The American carried his groceries in his arms. He dropped half of them in the parking lot. A Polish tour guide told me about an American who interrupted her entire tour to talk about how things are done in America. Every single thing I mentioned, he had a comparison. In America, we do it better because we're independent. Finally, someone else on the tour told him to be quiet. He said they were suppressing his free speech. A Dutch bike shop owner said Americans constantly rent bikes and immediately ignore traffic laws. They say, "I'm independent. I know how to ride a bike." Then they ride the wrong way down a one-way street. Or they don't use hand signals. When they almost crash, they blame Dutch bike culture for being too complicated. It's not complicated. It's organized, but they see organization as the opposite of independence. I was at a train station in Munich when I saw an American family again. Different family, same energy. The dad was arguing with a ticket agent about seat reservations. "We don't need assigned seats," he said. "We're independent. We'll sit wherever we want." The agent tried to explain that reserved seats prevent chaos. The dad cut him off. Chaos is just another word for freedom. His daughter was eating chips loudly in the quiet car. Other passengers gave her looks. She didn't notice or care. Her mom was on a phone call, also in the quiet car. A conductor asked her to move to a different car. She said, "I'm in the middle of something important. I'm independent. I don't interrupt my life for signs." The son had his feet on the seat across from him. "Shoes on." The conductor told him to put his feet down. He said, "I'm comfortable. I'm an independent person. I don't follow arbitrary etiquette rules." The conductor threatened a fine. The son rolled his eyes and moved his feet. He muttered something about Europe being uptight. I watched them the whole ride. They were loud. They took up extra space. They didn't seem to notice or care about anyone around them. And the dad kept saying the word independent, like it was a magic shield, like it justified everything. Here's the thing. Independence is great. Real independence means making your own choices and taking responsibility for them. It means thinking for yourself. But it doesn't mean ignoring everyone else. It doesn't mean rules don't apply to you. It doesn't mean the rest of the world should bend to your whims. What Americans call independence, the rest of the world often sees as just chaos. Showing up without a plan isn't brave. It's unprepared. Ignoring rules isn't freedom. It's entitlement. Doing whatever you want without considering others isn't strength. It's selfishness. And the funny part? Most Americans doing this don't even realize it. They genuinely believe they're exercising some higher form of freedom. They think everyone else is too controlled, too rigid, too afraid to break free. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is just trying to get through the day without someone's independence making everything harder. I've heard Americans say, "We don't let society control us." But society isn't control. It's cooperation. It's the reason trains run on time. It's the reason museums don't have fingerprints on priceless art. It's the reason libraries are quiet and restaurants have hygiene standards. So, next time you're traveling and you feel the urge to be independent, ask yourself, am I actually being independent, or am I just making things chaotic? Because the world is watching. And trust me, they're taking notes. These stories never stop coming. Every day, there's another American somewhere calling chaos independence. And every day, the rest of the world shakes its head and wonders when America